On a beautiful Tuesday, we get to talk about the biggest needs for the Detroit Lions. And not just for the team, but for them to really capture the North. Where'd they struggle this year? I'll let you start there and then tell me what they need to do.
Well, I think the obvious answer is the secondary, but more specifically, they need to be as productive as they were in the second half of the season against the run, especially in the NFC. And I think that's the big thing I was able to take away watching, both the 49ers and the Eagles, both teams in the NFC Championship game, both probably the two best teams in the NFC with running the football. The Lions for the first half of the part of the season were terrible. And even you guys remember Carolina giving up over 300 yards rushing. That's where the Lions, we talk about Jalen Carter, Will Anderson, defensive linemen. That's why. And they were great at it. Against New York Giants, they held Saquon to like 30 yards rushing. They did well against Delvin, Aaron Jones. They played well in the second half thanks to a couple unsung heroes. Kaminsky, you had Bugs, Aleem, Aiden, and James Houston at times on pass rushing sets. But still, I think overall, besides just the secondary, because that is important, you also saw a team like the Kansas City Chiefs and what they were able to do defensively because of their defensive line. So secondary is the clear need, obviously. But if you look at the NFC North, Aaron Jones, Dalvin Cook, we'll see what his future holds, if he gets cut or not. Chicago with Justin Fields and what he can do as a running quarterback. It's clear that besides just corner, besides just linebacker, we could talk about that. You got to solidify up front. Because as much as you might like James Houston, as much as I might like Josh Pascal, Aiden Hutchinson, it never hurts to have depth. Go ask the Eagles or go ask the 49ers. So that to me, if you want to be I guess dominant defense would be the right word, you need a really good defensive line. And as much as I like pieces, I think continuing to add to that is important for the Lions, considering who they have in the NFC North and considering who's at the top of the NFC with those offensive lines and defensive lines. So if the Lions want to get to that point, they have the offensive line, but I think that defensive line, you got to keep adding talent to it.
Depth important, sure. You need a one at the corner position. I can't stress that enough. I'm not saying Sauce. I'm not saying Patrick Surtain. I would love that. That would be nice. Maybe it's Devon Witherspoon. Maybe it's Joey Porter Jr. Who knows? But you need a one. You need a reliable one corner that doesn't need safety help 80% of his snaps. 90% I will take. Anything. Please.
Yes. Somebody you could just trust.
Someone I can rely on. And it opens up. If I do struggle in stopping the run, hey, Tracy Walker, step up to the line of scrimmage. Step up into the box. I'll play one-eye safety. Kirby Joseph a ball hawk. He can cover both sides of the field. I'm not really worried with that. And, hey, you take care of your job. And now, here we go. We're showing more in the box. We're stronger. We have more numbers. You can do a lot here. I think getting a corner one is everything.
Yeah.
Everything for this team. Linebacker, that's a tricky conversation. I'm sure you all like Malcolm Rodriguez. I'm sure some of you like Alex Anzalone. But they're both uninspiring athletically, and I think you got to add a true sideline linebacker that can just get after it, and more important than anything, pass cover. That is a big problem with these linebackers. Pass coverage is a big weakness. Teams with tight ends and good slot receivers can take advantage of it. Even when you bring up your safeties, you play zone, they're just not the most capable.
Yeah.
Can they tackle? Are they sure tacklers? Yeah. Malcolm Rodriguez, over 100 combined tackles. Anzalone as well. Excellent tacklers. That's great, but that's not what I need you to do only. Pass cover, I need athletes. I need guys that can chase down backs, sideline to sideline. That's what this team needs. So those are my first two. I would like a running back. It's not a must. But if DeAndre Swift goes down again, I don't want to be dealing with Jamal Williams getting 18 carries and averaging less than 4 yards a carry. He had one big breakout game against Seattle, and that was it. And yes, I played him in fantasy football that week, and it pissed me off. So I'm still a little bitter about that.
No, I get the running back point especially, but when you talk about corner, that's obvious. You got to get a number one corner, at least somebody you could trust initially. But when I'm talking about defensive line, I really mean defensive tackle. I think that's more importantly what I mean. That's why I'm so enamored by Jalen Carter and what he could do for this defense, especially up front. Make them more consistent. As much as I like Bugs, and he's been solid, you're not going to expect a great Bugs every week. Like at least we haven't seen that. We've seen a solid Bugs, and then we've seen weeks where, and it's not just Bugs. I mean, it's a lot of different players' faults as well. But what they did against Carolina, I mean, you have stinkers, especially against the run. Like the highest graded run defender on the Lions, and I'll read the top 3 players. You have Mike Hughes. This is per PFF. Take it how you wish. Mike Hughes, number 1. Derek Barnes, Jeff Okudah are your top 3 graded run defenders. Guess who's after them? Aiden Hutchinson, Deshaun Elliott, Malcolm Rodriguez. You get the point? 1 defensive lineman. It's Aiden Hutchinson. So, and then you get to John Kaminsky and Julian Okoris. So you got to get better up front, more consistent against the run. And, that's really, you look around, even the guys you're facing, and more importantly, your pass rush, you got to get that better. Aiden Hutchinson, we know what he's going to be. James Houston's a beast. We know what he was in a small sample size. Josh Pascal showed flashes, but still, to be able to consistently put pressure on the quarterback, if we're talking just NFC North, Kirk Cousins, I would like to see him under pressure. Typically doesn't play that well. Justin Fields, we know what he looks like when he's under pressure. And then you'll probably have Jordan Love, who will be his first full season starting for the Packers. You're going to want to get pressure on him. So as much as I agree with you, the defensive line has to be addressed in some way eventually. But I guess this is what we're talking about. The defenses, they need a lot of work. They need some more pieces. You could talk about linebacker, corner, defensive line. It's really, in my opinion, the Lions are approaching this draft more so with best player available. Maybe you can look at a corner, but if there's a defensive lineman there and he's the highest graded player left on your board, you take him. You don't even blink. So,
sure.
It's
how do I say this? We doubt ourselves every year. All of you. We all do this. It's kind of human nature. But this idea that we can't, or they won't, they as in the Lions, they won't be able to get a number 1 corner in the draft. They won't be able to get a number 1 interior lineman. Why? 2-3 of them come out every single draft.
Yeah, other teams are getting them.
They're there.
Right.
You just got to draft right. Now, am I on the Witherspoon Porter train? Sure. Can you convince me of Christian Gonzalez? Sure. You do whatever you want leading up to the draft. I don't care. But you are fooling yourself the same way you did last year if you think anything other than interior lineman, corner, or linebacker in the first round isn't the pick.
Would you be interested if Brad is sitting there at 6 and Arizona's at 3 and they're taking calls on that pick and you can get Will Anderson or Jalen Carter?
Give up?
Let's say you'd have to give up 18. Would you do it? Just 18. 6 and 18 for 3. To get Jalen Carter or Will Anderson? Or would you wait and take a Tyree Wilson in a corner? Or would you say, screw it, we'll go get the best defensive lineman?
If I'm only trading up 3 spots, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it because then I've, quote, addressed the interior line or added another pass rusher, even though I'm loaded at that spot right now. And I still haven't addressed corner, and I haven't addressed linebacker. And FYI for everybody, by your pick in the second round, most, if not all of the good corners will be gone. That I can guarantee you. Especially the ones where everybody is saying, oh man, these are the guys. Those guys are going to be gone. And at 18, I think I can get one of them. And I would rather trade up from 18 to 14 and guarantee I get one of them. And give up maybe a few futures. Not ones, not twos, but, or finagle in the deal. Trade up a few spots. Give them 18, give them a third and a seventh, I don't know. And move up and get my guy. Move on. To me, that would be an epic disaster. If you were to trade up, look at Jordan Davis. People saying, oh, we wish we had Jordan Davis over Jamison Williams. Really? Really?
I couldn't disagree anymore.
And he's a, quote, generational talent. Oh, out of Georgia. Sounds like somebody I know coming out this year. Not to say that he won't be good or very good. But is it worth giving up my additional draft capital? No. Nobody's worth that. Nobody in this draft is worth me giving up 18 and future picks to move up unless I'm getting a quarterback. If I get a quarterback, all hands on deck.
Yeah.
No problem. But that's not going to be the case.
What if it was for a quarterback?
Then yeah,
You're trading up to get a quarterback.
Yeah, I'm trading up, absolutely.
Gotcha. You're skeptical on the drop off if you want to jump 3 spots to get it.
If I'm jumping 3 spots,
you'd rather just wait at 6 and
at
take
a pick where 2 of the main quarterbacks are probably going to be available. Yeah, I'm not paying that price,
right?
Because I don't want the quarterback. Do I? If Brad wants him, he can trade whatever the hell he wants, no problem. But I don't think that's going to happen.
I guess it just depends on where his board falls, I guess. If he feels like Carter, there's a significant drop off, and it's like, I'm gonna go get him. That's fine, but yeah, you might be better just staying at 6 and 18 and taking the 2 best players. I mean, you would find. I mean, Brian Burns was selected 16th overall, 17th overall. So it's not always top 5 guys. You can still find talent, and Brad has shown he can do that. So he hasn't really taken a corner other than Chase Lucas. So we really don't know his evaluation process on corners. So I guess we'll just wait and see.